So today's class session will be little bit okay. The time consuming it will be short, little bit short. It will be so before to 15 minutes we have to wind up the session for today. Only for today. Okay. So the remaining will be because I have a call at correctly exactly at next 45 minutes. So in the meantime we'll cover the topics. Now, so yesterday we discussed about what is the concept of ledger groups and how it is going to be managed, and what is a representative ledger, and what is a non-representative ledger, and why do we need to check the representative ledger? What happens if the non-representative ledgers open and close posting periods are not maintained? And how to manage the open periods. We have gone to the session and we have selected the checkbox. So we have discussed various concepts of ledger group. Yesterday, the complete topic went on the ledger group. Now, when any documents are getting posted in SAP, for example, if I'm posting in SAP, the various transactions will be there. Not only one transaction, not only the GL. You're posting something like vendor related accounts, customer related accounts, GL related, asset related. Okay. If you take a company or a manufacturing or any service oriented company, from the day-to-day transactions, if you see from the day starting to till the day end, the various accounting clerks, according to their own roles and responsibility, they might be posting different types of transactions. So transactions means it is a document actually. We can call it as a document. Now, for example, I'll take you one example now. I'll take you through one example. I'll call it as the MM module. MM is nothing but a material management module. Material management. Okay. So when you talk a material management module, so the process look like this. First, they're going to raise the purchase order. So purchase order. I'll tell you, this is just example, okay? With reference to the purchase order, we are going to get the goods from the vendor. So whatever the goods we have ordered through the purchase order, we receive the goods receipt. And with reference to the goods receipt, the vendor is sending an invoice to us, invoice document. We can call it as the invoice. Invoice receipt. We can call it as the invoice receipt. So when you talk from the vendor perspective, and this is from the vendor. So what is happening? This is the goods receipt and the invoice receipts are nothing but the financial transactions. Actually, in the backend, accounting document is going to be triggered in the backend. So this is nothing but vendor related. In the same way, we have the customer related, and we have some asset related transactions, and we have some GL related transactions and the controlling postings actually. So in SAP, when you're posting any transactions in SAP, what type of transaction it is, whether it is a vendor or customer or GL, what type of transaction it is. So how do you tell to the SAP, this is a vendor invoice, this is a customer invoice, this is a vendor payment, this is the customer incoming payment, this is the asset acquisition, this is the asset retirement. How do you tell to the SAP? So that we can, and with that we have to know by document types. Document types. These document types are directly proportional to your account types. Very, very important. Please make a note. These document types are proportionate to your account types. Okay, last class also we discussed various account types are there in our SAP. Okay, so like, okay, we discussed about A is nothing but an asset, D is nothing but a customer, K is nothing but a vendor. Okay, S is nothing but a GL. Okay, M is nothing but a material. Like this, we have different various account types in the open and close posting periods we discussed. So these are the standard account types are there. So I want to post one accounting entry. Let me take one accounting entry. Okay, now let me come out from this. Now I'll take 2 to 3 accounting entries now. Okay, now first I'll take the vendor. I'll take the vendor. Vendor is nothing but a K. Vendor is nothing but a K. Account type is always indicated with a K. Now, when you're posting a manual invoice, when I'm posting an invoice for the vendor, okay, so what is happening in the vendor account? The vendor account will become the credit, and your expenses account, okay, any expenses account will become the debit. This is how exactly the vendor related. Now I'll come to one customer. I'll come to one customer. Customer is D. Customer is D. Now, when the same customer, when we are receiving a invoice, when we are raising an invoice, what is happening? Customer account will become the debit, and your sales revenue account, any revenue account, okay? The sales revenue account will become the credit. Now, I'm posting some asset related now, okay? Now I'll call it as an asset. Asset means it is the account type is going to be called as A. Account type is called as A. Now I'm procurement. I mean, I'm purchasing an asset from the vendor. I'm okay. That is called as asset acquisition. Means your residential building. Example. These all are example. Residential building account is getting debited. Means you're purchasing a vendor. You're purchasing a residential building from the vendor, and who is going to credit the vendor account? Here, that there are two account types are there. Here there are two account types are there. One is going to be called as a building is asset, and there is a one vendor account also. So vendor account is getting created now. And last but not the least, I'll take one more also where I'm going to be taking the GL. Okay, GL, general ledger. GL means it is with S. Now, if I take one GL, so for example, rent expenses. Rent expenses account debit to my cash or bank account credit. This is how normally if you see here. Normally, if you see here, there are four different types of account types are there here. Okay, now there are four different types. When you come to the vendor, here this is the invoice. Actually, we can call it as the invoice. Okay, we call it as the vendor invoice. Normally, we'll do the vendor payment also. It is only the invoice. Normally, we'll do the vendor payment, vendor credit memo, vendor debit memo. So something like, okay, when the goods have been returned to the vendor, we will raise a vendor debit memo. So like this, when you take a vendor, not only the invoice, there are different types of transactions we are posting to the vendor, like invoice, payments, credit memo, debit memos, like different types. In the same way for the customer, I just given only one example. In the same way for assets and the GLs also, we have different types of GL transactions will be there. Now, when I take a vendor account, now if I go to the SAP, now I want to post a vendor invoice. How do you know that? How do we tell to the SAP this is the vendor invoice transaction? So that will be noted with the call. That will be noted by identifying with the document type. Here we have an option at the header level. Document types are available at the header level. So this is what exactly I call it as a document type. One second, sir. Okay, so here we are giving a document type here. This is the document type SA. SA is normally we'll use for the general ledger accounts. General ledger means the first alphabetical word we are going to be using as the account type. That what exactly I can call it as a yes. Yes, wherever you see something, the document types are starting with yes. That is all the document types are related to the GL. Very, very important. If I give the vendor account, for example, I want to post a vendor invoice. Okay, so there is a separate transaction code there, F-43. If I use this is called as a vendor invoice. So by default, when I'm using this transaction code F-43, if I'm using this F-43 by default, I can see by default the document type will be coming as a KS. So based on the transaction, whatever the transaction you are going to be using. If it is a vendor related transactions or customer related transactions, I can see there is a default document type will be triggered over here. This is K means vendor, K means vendor, R is nothing but an invoice. So KR is nothing but a vendor invoice. So I'm posting a transaction related to the vendor invoice. If I want to make a payment, for example, F-53. So this is nothing but outgoing payments for the vendor. So automatically I can see the document type is triggering as a KZ. KZ. K is the vendor, Z is nothing but a payment. Like this, if I come to the customer, okay, for example, customer, okay, F-22, okay, so I can see DR. DR is nothing but it is a customer invoice. KR is nothing but a vendor invoice. DR is nothing but a customer invoice. So these are called as the document types. Now, when I go into the SAP, these document types are standard SAP defined. So these document types, very, very important topic, very, very important topic. Document types will play the major role for posting of any documents, okay. Now I'll come to the financial accounting. Financial accounting for the global settings. So where the documents are, document types are available here, because I'm posting a document. So now you need to trigger called as a document. And here we have the document types. And here we have a document types. So there are, okay, document types are defined at two different levels. One is the document types, define the document types for the leading ledger, and the defined document types for the ledger, for the non-leading ledger and for the extension ledger. Because whenever I'm posting any document, so I want a document type for the leading ledgers and the non-leading ledgers. So we can have different document types. So now I'll come to the topic called as the document types. Now, if I execute here, we can see these all are the standard SAP defined document types. No need to create until or unless if the client is asking you to create a new document type, because all the document types are system defined. These are the client specific, not at the company code specific. All are going to be at the client specific only. So you can see there are 48 document types are there. All the document types here you can see. So when I want to search for the document type, which is going to be called as SCA. So this SCA is nothing but we can call it as a GL account document. Like we have the GL account document type, different type, transfer posting to the balance sheet and the P&L accounts. If I want to see for the, for example, for the vendor, K, it will start with the K. This K series always related to the vendor. K series is always related to the vendor. KA means vendor document. When you're posting the vendor credit memo, I had to use the KG when the goods have been returned to the vendor, okay? So when the net vendors are there, I'll use the KP, okay? So like this, when I'm using a vendor invoice, KR, vendor payments, it is nothing but a KSH. So these document types are also called as OCHO types. What type of document you're posting in SAP? So based on the document type, I can come and understand. So for example, in a quarter, I want to see all the documents related to the KR or KZ. So what I will do here, if I come to AP03 transaction, I don't know, okay? I don't know what type of documents have been posted. For example, I'm taking 2019. Example, I'm taking 2019. Now, for 2019, I want to see the display of all the documents for the company code called as the 1710. So here I'm not giving any selection parameter as a document type. I'm leaving this field as an empty because I want to see all the documents. So if I execute, see, if I execute, here there is a document type is available. So 1, 2, 3, these 3 document types you posted to the customer, sorry, GL. AF is a depreciation posting, KR and KR is nothing but a vendor posting here. That is vendor invoice. So I'll go one by one now. I'll go one by one. The first alphabetical word, the first character in the document type will be indicated with an account type. Very, very important. What type of account type it is going to be. The first alphabetical word is nothing but the document, your account type. And the remaining account, the remaining followed is going to be indicated with your document type here. So first I'll go to the SCA. SCA. SCA is the document type we are going to be using for the GL. I'll give one example, okay? So SCA is an example I'm going to be taking. How do the system knows, Mahesh? How do the system knows? This, okay, this is only the text you are going to be providing. So in the backend, any parameters we are maintaining for any document type. So to tell to the SAP, this is the document type for the GL. Very, very important. Very, very important. When you come to the vendor posting, a GL account is there. See here, expenses account is a GL account. When you post a customer account, there is a one GL account is also there. When you post a asset account, there is no GL account here. But when you post the general ledger account, both are going to be calling it as a GL account. So a GL will be triggered in all types of accounts. So when I select here and when I go into the details, now see here. So to tell to the SAP, this is a GL account document type. So forget about the number ranges for a meanwhile. I'll explain you what is the number ranges here. I'll explain you because it will take about 1 hour class. Okay, I'll explain you about the number ranges for the meantime. Okay, just park it. I'll come to the document types allowed. If I take these are sorry account types allowed. Just now I told that we have a various account types are available. These all are going to be called as account types. Now, when I see this document type SA, in what account types this document type can be posted? So I'm selecting in assets, we'll post some GL. In customers, we'll post some GL. In vendor also posting, material also posting. Okay, now the secondary cost is nothing but we have been newly included in SAP S4. And earlier we don't have the secondary cost element in SAP ECC. When you go back to your SAP ECC, we don't have the secondary cost element. For example, if you see here, I'm logging to the SAP ECC. This is SAP ECC, not SAP S4HANA. See here. So see the difference between SAP ECC to SAP S4HANA. This is SAP S4HANA. This is SAP S4HANA and this is the SAP ECC. This is SAP ECC. So there is only one change here. There are only one change we are going to be observing in SAP S4HANA. We have an option, new option called as the secondary cost. I'll tell you what is the secondary cost. Very, very important. And in SAP ECC, we don't have the secondary cost over here. We can see here in SAP ECC, we don't have the secondary cost. So what is going to be the reason? I'll explain. Now, when you see the account types, so the GL account type means the document type which I'm going to be using. So this document type I might be using in assets, customers, vendors, materials, and the GL. So all types are going to be allowed. If any of the account type is not selected, for example, in the vendor is not selected. Example, I'm telling, okay, the GL document type vendor is not going to be selected. What happens? Then any documents which are going to be posted to the vendor will not be available, means the system throw an error for me. So the GL normally will be using for all account types. So I'm selecting all account types over here. Now I'll go to the vendor now. I'll go to one account type which is going to be related to the vendor. For example, I'll go to the KR. KR is nothing but a vendor. So when you see the KR, so KR means vendor will be used for the posting of assets. Definitely. Why? Because if you see here, when I'm acquiring an asset from the vendor, normally when the registered building account is going to be the debit and your vendor account is going to be the credit. But when you come to the customer nowhere the vendor is going to be involved. See here, nowhere the vendor is going to be involved. GLs are involved and the customers are involved, but no vendor is going to be involved. So here, what is the option I'm not selected? Customer is not selected. In the materials, we can see the vendor will be available. In the GL accounts also vendor is going to be available. So I'm going to be selecting for all account types. All account types except customer. When you go to the customer, vendor will not be available. Like this. So when you are going to be using a vendor account type as a KR, when I'm going to be using the vendor account type as a KR, for example, I'm not selecting the GL. Very, very important. See that. I'm not selecting the GL. I'm not selecting the vendor. Now I'm saving the transaction. Example, I'm showing an example. Now I'll take the KR. I'm trying to post one invoice, F-43. See here, KR. F-43 is nothing but an invoice. So I'll give the same date. Company code, same company code. So the period is 1 and I'm posting the transaction. So here I'll give one vendor account. Okay, these all are nothing but my vendors. Okay, so I'll take one vendor account. Now, what is the document type which I'm going to be using? The document type is nothing but a KR. KR is nothing but a vendor invoice. Now I've given the vendor invoice here. That is nothing but I've given the vendor account number. This is the vendor account number. I'm creating the vendor. Now I'm pressing enter. Now see the error here. Account type K is not defined for the document type KR. Very, very important. What does it mean that account type K is nothing but a vendor account type is not defined for the document type KR. KR is nothing but a vendor invoice. So if I go back means you're trying to post a vendor invoice for which document type? The document type I'm using as a KR. But in this document type, you're not selected the vendor account type here. So this is a mandatory. Now I'm saving here. I'm selected and I'm saving here. Okay,
Hey,
right. Very
Mani,
good. Yes.
you're coming to the screens using the transaction code. Let's say if we don't know, how to come to this screen, like, can you show me manually how I can come here?
That is very simple, madam. So, okay. So normally all the transaction codes will be end user transaction codes will be executed from SAP Easy Access. Okay. If there is a no need to go to SPRO, no need to go to SPRO, no need. Before going to the SPRO, this is called as SAP Easy Access. All the end user transactions are getting used by this particular path over here. Now, for example, I'm working as an accounting clerk in my company. Already SAP has been implemented and I received the training from the SAP guys. Now, what is my duty in my company as an accounting clerk? I had to raise the vendor invoice and I had to make the vendor payments. This is my duty, the day-to-day activity. So I don't have the access actually. If I'm trying to enter in production, if I'm trying to enter the SPR, the system will not allow me. I don't have the authorization to go into the customizing part. So the only authorization which I'm going to be having is nothing but here accounting, financial accounting. Now I'm making the vendor, so accounts payable. Here there is a called as a document entry. Document entry. So here these are going to be the transaction codes. So I'm using this transaction code. F-43 is the transaction code I'm using right now. Okay. So like this, if you want to make a payment, outgoing payment, okay, a payment, F-53 is nothing but the outgoing payment. So beside your transaction, there will be a transaction code is available. So you can refer to this like this. This is the path like we are going to be. If you're posting the GL, you need to close the document entry and you need to come to the GL document entry and these are related to the GL related. Clear now?
Yes, thank you.
So now what is the error which is coming here? The document type. Okay, now this is the customer. Okay, what is the error which is coming? The system has thrown me error that the account type K is not defined for the document type KR. Now I selected and I'm saving now. Okay, now let me go back and once again I'm trying it out. Okay, same F-43 vendor invoice. Again I'm entering. Okay. Okay. Now I'll give the same vendor account once again. I'll give the same vendor account once again. A different vendor also you can take. Earlier it was thrown an error. Now let me see. Now it is allowed. Allowed means the document type KR is allowed for this vendor. Why? Because the document type KR is allowed because of having this vendor checkbox. Okay, right. Very good. Now I'm posting a vendor. This is not a practical. Just I'm explaining you the concept of document types, so not a practicals, please. So I'm posting $100. Now I'm debiting my GL account. As you see here, when a vendor account is getting created, I need to debit my GL expenses. Very, very important. So what is the document type I'm using here? KR. Please remember, very, very important. I'm using the document type called as a KR. So in this KR, earlier I got an error that vendor account type K is not defined. Okay, this is K and this is expenses GL, means it is S. This is S. So how many account types are there in the vendor invoice? Anybody? If I'm posting a vendor invoice, this is my vendor invoice. Vendor account credit to GL expenses account debit. So how many account types are there here in this transaction?
You have two.
Two. What are they, sir?
Type K and type S.
Exactly, sir. K is nothing but vendor and S is nothing but a GL. So here it is a mandatory that whenever you are raising a vendor invoice with a KR, it is a very mandatory that make sure that these two account types are defaulted. Even though if you're not selecting the assets, even though if you're not selecting the materials, these two transactions, vendor account type and the GL account type is a mandatory in the KR. Very, 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 very important while you're raising vendor invoice. Otherwise, what happens? The system will throw an error. Now, for example, I'm not selecting the GL now. See here, I'm not selecting the GL. Only I selected the vendor. Okay, now let me see. Now I'm giving the GL. Which GL you have to give? One expenses account. Any expenses account. I'm giving the expenses account. This is my, so this is the standard SAP. So 125999, it will come under the balance sheet accounts. 6 series will be always will be the series which are going to be started with 6 is nothing but all the expenses accounts. Okay. So I'm giving the expenses account and I'm pressing enter. Now again, there is the one more error. See here. Account type, yes, is not defined for the document type here. Very, very important. So what I want, what is the SAP is telling that here you have entered the account which is related to the GL. It is not a vendor, it is not a customer, it is not asset. Because already I given the vendor is getting credited and the GL account is getting debited here. So now when I given the GL, the system is telling me account type yes is not defined for the document type KR. Yes, I'm using the KR is the document type for the posting of vendor. If I come back and see, oh my God, the GL account type is not selected. Yes, now I selected. So here I need two account types in this document. For whenever I'm posting a vendor invoice, it is a mandatory that the two account types has to be activated. One is the vendor account type, another one is the GL account type. Now I'm saving. Now let me press enter. Okay, so I need to come from the starting, okay, because it has to refresh everything. So I'm going to be entering 40. So I'm just entering the expenses account. Now let me see. I need to come from the starting, so slash. See, I'm giving the vendor account. This is always, it is always saved. I'm giving 100 USD dollars, okay, USD dollars, because it is the local currency. Now, okay, I'll tell you what is this 40, 50, everything. Just park it, okay? Just I'll tell you. These are the posting keys. I'll tell you, there is the topic is there and the posting keys. Now, again, I'm giving the same GL account. If I press enter, now it is allowing me. See here. Now it is allowing me. Same, debit always should be equal to credit. Debit always should be equal to credit. Now, I just overview. Now, if you see here, now, if you see here, before I posting the document, see here, your vendor account is getting created. There is a minus symbol is there. Minus means credit in SAP. I'll tell you, okay, because, okay, there is a debit here. This is the debit GL account and this is the credit GL account. Credit is always you're doing with a vendor and the debit always you're doing with the GL account. Means two account types are involved in this care. Two account type. This is called as a document type. This is called as a document. Now, what type of document you're posting? I'm posting a vendor invoice. Vendor invoice means it is a KR. Now, if I come to the same thing, so here, this is what exactly you are using the document type. This is what exactly. So, which account types you want to allow whenever you're posting the vendor account type for the vendor? So, vendor should be allowed and the GL should be allowed. In some cases, I'll be also using this vendor KR in assets and in the materials also sometimes. So I need all these account types should be selected. Now I can save it now. So whenever you want to post this KR, make sure that these are the account types which are going to be selected. Which you don't want, you can have the option of deselecting it. It depends upon the complete client requirements. So now if we come and see here, this is what exactly I call it as a document type. So whenever I'm posting, now I'll come and post a document. Now this is the document. Now I'll save it. Now I'm saving it. Now I'm posting a document to the KR. So now see here, document has generated 1900001 was posted in the company code 1710. Now I want to display the document. If I see the display, this is my display of the document now. See here. Now this is the display after posting. Today I posted 23. But if I want to see what type of document type it is, what type of document, as a layman, when I'm very new to the SAP, I don't know. This is what is this 31, what is this 40, what is this, I don't know. So if I go to the header, there is an option called as the header. After posting a document, you can see there is a hat is there. If you click on this header, so here I can see the document type. Okay, this is the vendor invoice. You posted to the vendor. This is the document type I'm going to be using for the vendor invoice. Like this, you're not only having all this. I just now I've shown that there are so many documents I've posted as on today. So many documents have been posted. So 2019. So if I want to see the list of the documents, so I want to see totally how many vendor invoices are there till as on date in 2019 to 2020 both. So I'm giving the KR. I want to see only the one document type. I'm giving the general perspective. I don't want to see other document types. Now, if I click on execute, see, till now you have posted only one, and this is the second one. You can see here. This is the second one you are going to be seeing here. This is the second one. Like this, I can come and I can see what are all the documents in 2020. If I 2020, or I can give like this 2019 to 2020. So I'm giving both years. So I want to see the list of all the KR documents. I just execute. Now, if you see here, this is the today. We are posted today. See, this is 23/01/2020. You are posted today. And there is a one more document also which has been posted in the same year. That is the 2020. There are two documents which are going to be related to the two. Totally 4 documents are available in between 2019 and 2020. Only KR. Only KR. Mahesh, if I want to see all the document types means don't give any selection parameter here. Just remove everything. Leave it as an empty. Execute. Now I can see these are all the documents posted in 2020 and 2019. You can see so how many documents? So some documents are related to SCA, that is general ledger. AF is the asset depreciation. KR is nothing but a vendor invoice. So this is how the document types are going to be playing the major role. In every document type, if I come to the SCA is nothing but a general ledger. Now SCA. Same thing, SCA, the GL will be posted in all account types you can see here. If you see, if I come and see here, GL is available in the vendor, GL is available in the customer, some GLs will be available in the assets, some GLs will be available in the same GL here. So what type of account types you're going to be selecting for the GLs? If any of the account type is missing in the document type, if you're trying to post that particular account, the system will not allow you to post. Why? Because the SCA is the GL account document type, which is missing the specific account type. Till here, any doubts? Till here, any doubts? Document type is nothing but a voucher type. What type of transactions you have posted in SAP by using of the document type, I can easily identify whether these document types have been posted to vendor invoice or vendor payments or customer invoice or customer payments or assets.
Mahesh, just a question.
Yes, sir.
When I'm setting this up and if I select everything, like all the account types for say SA or any other document type, if I select everything, would it make any difference?
No, nothing, sir. It will not make any difference here because you're allowing the parameters. If you doesn't select it, but if you're posting to any specific transaction, then there will be error.
Right, but it's not gonna it doesn't make any difference.
It will not have any impact, sir. It will not have any impact. So very, very important. Any document type, you are going to be creating a new document type also. We have an option called as a new entry here. Okay, when I'm creating a new document type, for example, Z1. Z1 is the new document type I'm creating. So here, when I'm creating a new document type, so here we need to specify for which account type the Z1 has to be get posted. Until or unless if you not define that account type, system is a dumb and off. System is always a dumb and off. So system doesn't know whether you're posting to the vendor or you're posting to the customer or you're posting to the assets or you're posting to the GL. I doesn't know that whatever the Z1 you have created is a new one. So giving the text doesn't matter. Giving the text, for example, I'm creating a new document type for vendor invoice. Example, vendor invoice. Vendor invoice. This is only the text here. This is only the text. Okay. But what selection parameters you have been used for making you this document type should be allowed for vendor invoice. So then here I need to select the vendor and I need to select the customer GL. So I'm creating a new document type which is called as a Z1, which will be allowed only for 2 document types. One is a vendor account document and another one is the GL account document. Very, 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 very important actually. Now, What is the special usage? This is the business information. Actually, this is okay whenever you are transferring. So good. So indicated that the document type may only be used for posting which are created using the batch inputs. What is the batch input? I'll tell you what is the batch input here. Okay, I'll take one example and I'll tell you one example. Batch input. Oh my God. So this is the special usage we are going to be using for the batch inputs. So I'll tell you one example about the batch input here. So for example, I'll take a depreciation. Normally, depreciations are going to be posted. Okay, so I'll take one depreciation. When you take a building which is called as a residential building, this is the residential building. So I acquired this asset on 01/01/2020. This is the acquisition date, means purchase date. I acquired this asset at the rate of $10,000. Example I'm going to be giving here at the rate of $10,000. So the life the life which I've been given up to 10 years. 10 years is nothing but my useful life. Every year 10% depreciation. Every year 10% depreciation. Very, very important. Very, 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 very important this is. I purchased the asset, the residential buildings I purchased on 01/01/2020 at the rate of $10,000. The life of this asset is going to be the 10 years. Every year I want to calculate 10% depreciation. Every year 10% depreciation. So when I come to the first year, that is 2020, 10% depreciation means $1,000. $1,000. So if I take from January to till the month of December, okay, 1 to till the month of December for 2020, 10,000 divided by 12. 10,000 divided by 12. So every month, what is the depreciation amount? It will something like, it will come about 866 something like dollars every month. 8666666. $866 will become. Example. I'm talking about 2020. So yearly 10% depreciation means the 2020, if I take from Jan to December, how much it is going to be? $10,000 on the 10,000. Now every month in a December, from the January to December, if I divided 10,000 by 12 months, every month the depreciation amount is coming about $866. So what I will do in SAP here, the depreciation we will never post any manual. Automatically in the back end, we have to run a background job. So what is happening in SAP? So there are some transactions which you are not allowed through the here like this. There are some transactions which you cannot allow by using of like this. You cannot post any manually. Like this is manual entry I'm making. So there are some transactions which will be done in the background, not in the foreground. So for example, there is a depreciation AFAB. So every month, 30th or 31st of every month, I need to run the depreciation so that the $866 will be posted for the month of January, February, March, like this 10 months. So normally what we will do here, so I'm going to be using called as AFAB. AFAB is the transaction code we are using for the depreciation posting. No, just only practical because I want to explain the concept of this one. Okay, that is batch input only. I'm explaining for this one. Now, here what I will do, I'll give all the parameters related to the setting, which period 01, first period, January month, I'm posting everything. I'll give the asset number. So this is my asset number. Example, the residential building asset number, everything. And what I will do, there is no option to post here. So what I will do, there is a program and I will execute in the background. See here, this is what exactly I'll execute in the background, not in the foreground. Foreground, you will never post any depreciation. Foreground, this is all the transaction I will be using in the foreground, like F-22, this is the foreground, like F-43, these all are going to be called as foreground. But there are some transactions which you have to run in the background. SAP will allow you to run in the background. So that is what exactly we are going to be executing in the background actually. So once you schedule the job, I'll tell you what is the job and everything in the coming classes. Once you run the background, system automatically will schedule one job actually. So if I go to /n SM37. Here, if I come to the job schedule, okay, on the date of from this date, automatically a session will be okay. Automatically, I can see a job will be created automatically in the backend. So I'll remove this. Okay, so date. So I'll give it as. So let me see whether any sessions are there. Okay. Nothing is there. So I'll put a star. Let me see whether any jobs are created from last year to current year as of now. So the system is formatting the list now. If I put a star means all users are allowed. If I put a star means all users. If I put a star in the job name means all the jobs I want to see, like this. Teaching SAP should have a lot of patience actually. Yeah? See, these are the sessions we have created. So here, these are going to be called as, okay, so automatically you can see the batch jobs have been created. And I can also create through the sessions, everything here. You can see here. So in the background jobs, whether that some document types will be allowed only to create, okay, which we not allowed to create, which we allowed only for the background job schedule only. So that's we have an option called as batch input only, BATCH, batch input, INPUT only, batch input only. So like this, some are allowed in the foreground, some are allowed in the through the batch input session. So we are going to be selecting the batch input session over here, like this. Okay. Tomorrow we'll discuss about the remaining things about all these things. I'll tell you about it. Okay.